Welcome to another episode. If it sounds a little airy, sorry, the fan is on. Um, Another episode of something I think is very interesting because it's more about venturing into things and ties in a lot with fire signs and adventure and all those things that get people really kind of excited. And this is on my way to help my parents. So what is Jupiter? Jupiter is optimism, part of the human psyche that wants to explore, wants to expand and grow and get out there. That's why people like United States actually has Sun Jupiter conjunct. So what that means is that's why you get a lot of business people in the United States. It's part of the society, it's part of their culture, it's part of their cultural collective identity. So I think Estonia also has that chart. Estonia, Latvia as well. So anyways, but we're talking more about Jupiter's in the signs. The Jupiter in Aries is an expansion and growth and optimism, and it's also with leisure, by the way. So not leisure, sorry, where we have fun, like where we really kind of, it's more than Venus. Venus is just like relaxed leisure, but Jupiter is like all out there, just really like it rules Sagittarius. So but in Aries, it's all about life itself. You probably have more optimism towards your body as well, how you project yourself onto the world, and to I think there's pretty much like what do you call those then? Not like plans you do. What is that called? Ventures.
Ventures.
Yeah, your first time. Yeah. So any sort of things that you venture onto, that's this side, Jupiter in Aries. So it's very much like curiosity kind of sparks. There's a spark of energy, but it's expansive, and it kind of is slow. There's a certain Jupiter is also a lot about faith and optimism. So usually that's why United States, there's so many businesses that open, but probably also close. They shut. It's part of that culture. So when you have something that goes out there, but sometimes there has to be a limit, right? So the gift behind Jupiter, of course, is sometimes when there's too much optimism, sometimes you don't like that, but that's what it is. That's the gift. That's expansion, and it teaches us to have faith in the world itself and life, and that's usually this placement with Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter in Taurus, what that placement is your resources, your self-worth, how you value things, what you find relaxing, and leisure, that Venusian sort of thing. It's also with any sort of wealth system, any sort of like things that you own, right? It's Taurus, we mentioned it before. So you have a sort of this sense of, it's almost like identity. Like I told you before, Jupiter technically is so big that it was close to being the second sun of the solar system.
Mm-hmm. So
it kind of acts a little bit like the sun. It's like vitality, it's our childlikeness as well. I usually try to sort of equate Jupiter with humor as well. There's something about the word term jovial. Jovial means like very youthful, but more like just fun. This is why we have the the humor stuff. So I think Jupiter rules humors as well. And of course businesses. So that ties into the Taurus stuff. People with Jupiter in Taurus probably have this, I guess you can say they have a sort of earthly acumen towards business in a way. So now Jupiter Gemini, that's more towards optimism and things that you really enjoy, and growth and expansion towards communication. Things that are, again, there's that communication. Communication is a two-way process, right? So a lot of Jupiter and Gemini people probably will end up talking a lot, but a lot of inspiration comes out. right? So it's like, yeah. So those sort of kind of stuff, right? So, very had a very positive it also experience with the siblings. That also ties into the Gemini thing. Yeah, that's all I can see from it. Communication, short term, short distance travel, but because Jupiter is also long distance and ventures and traveling, it kind of expands that into, actually it's the opposite. It kind of brings it down to a more logical sort of sense. I don't know, because Jupiter is in dignity it's at home with Sagittarius, so the opposite sign is not going to fit. It's kind of pulls it down and be like, you need to be more logical, not so optimistic, not so blah 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 blah. Yeah, so it kind of it becomes, it's a dignity in Sagittarius, therefore it's in detriment or detriment. No, it's in its detriment in Gemini. So there's a kind of iffy thing, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's kind of like slow your faith kind of thing down, slow your belief in yourself, slow it down. Then we have Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer is actually an exaltation, or it's a rise, so that means that it works well with the emotions that tie in with the Cancerian, I was going to say model, the Cancerian sort of like process of processing emotions internally, security, also family. So that ties in with, actually Jupiter was conjunct to Sun for the United States. However, it was in Cancer, so it actually makes people very much like, you look at American culture, they're very much tied into family. They're all about the family. They're all about like whatever it is, though it's family, right? However, now we should look further into that. If we were to look further into that, because it was in Cancer, we'll have to look into the moon. But moon was in Aquarius, so this is why you have also inconsistencies and like a lot of changes and a lot of unexpected things that happen. There's like rebellion as well. That's very much American culture. So that the Aquarius thing colors that Jupiterian sort of Cancer thing. So they're not purely Cancer. And also something with ancestry. So Jupiter, and that has sort of like, there's a certain belief and optimism towards your own ancestry, your DNA, your heritage as well. So you might kind of venture onto that as well. You might feel like, I need to go back into my history. I love, I really enjoy the past. I really enjoy tradition. I really enjoy culture. Yeah, in the traditional cultures, those people with Jupiter and Cancer do that. And Jupiter in Leo is similar. It's similar to Sagittarius, or rather, yeah, kind of, but it's more childlike. It's more about the pride thing, but also like the whole like, I have to be the center of attention. So music comes to play. Music, there's a pun there. Music, dance, theater, fine arts, any sort of artistic thing, any sort of creative ventures. Jupiter in Leo goes into that. They look towards things that are really creative. So if you actually have Sun and Jupiter conjunct and you have it in Leo, you really love artistry. You probably have businesses. You have a business in art or dancing or culture or anything creative. Jupiter in Virgo, become more serious, because remember that Jupiter is a secondary ruler for Pisces, and Pisces, because it's in Pisces, secondary ruler of Pisces, it's technically a dignity. Therefore, in Virgo, it's a detriment. So that means I have Jupiter in Virgo in my chart, and these are what I learned as quietly ambitious. So there you go. That's a key word for Jupiter as well. Jupiter is ambition, but because it's quiet, because it's Virgo, it's more towards perfectionism, health, anything pure, anything. Your Virgo is all about purity. You're all about getting things right, taking your time, making sure it's perfect in any way it is. So businesses in health, businesses or any sort of venture in cleaning, healthcare. Yeah, it could be like a nurse. Maybe you start to have like a career in nursing. But further than that, you might want to do that. If you have Sun conjunct Jupiter And in Virgo, you really want to do more than nursing. You want to be a service to the world. You want to be there's this pull towards really serving the world in a very altruistic way. It expands and expands and expands. Unless you have Saturn there, that's when it becomes slow it down, limits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes Jupiter into Libra. Jupiter and Libra people all about love, relationships, harmony, balance, and all that stuff. So usually people love Jupiter and Libras love like they could be like a love coach. They could be one of those relationship coaches. They can be one of those probably even some sort of like teaching, something related to that, something to do with harmony. So a lot of it is in towards things that not are only relationships but in harmony, but also things that kind of balance things. Like maybe a lawyer that would go right into that in that area where if you have Jupiter in Libra, you enjoy being a lawyer. Well, not all the time, but because it gets technical, but there is that balance sort of thing, or even a judge, anything to do probably in the legal system, but even further than that, because remember Jupiter expands, especially if you have Sun right there, and maybe even if you have Mars conjunct to that. So that means it's like you really go for it. But especially Mars pushes Jupiter to become more. It's like that Aries thing, but it pushes it to become more assertive. It's a really like assertive placement. Sun, Mars, and Jupiter, all of the three planets that rules the three fire signs, all fire in there. It's like you really want to go venture out. You have no limits. You have no boundaries actually. So, yeah.